pack as many people into a building as you want? You want to put 50 people in one family dwelling, is it allowed now?
No, I'm gonna wait. Yeah. So that's where the state stands, and you know, it is all about housing affordability. They believe that these things will positively affect affordability. I disagree, but that's just me. So there's that. Any other questions?
Do you expect them to have lawsuits against all three of these things?
Probably, but I don't have any knowledge of any that are in the pipeline personally.
And when they do a lawsuit against it, does it stop it for a while?
I don't know.
It depends. I think they can issue an injunction. I think they would have to ask for that as part of the lawsuit.
So the occupancy limits law goes into effect this July. The other ones, I believe, don't go into effect until next year. So there's, you know, they probably did that to make time for the inevitable lawsuits that they knew would be coming.
But, sorry.
No.
The states of Utah and California have passed similar bills, and they've been untested. So, or there must be some case law somewhere, because they're regulating the same, so.
Good afternoon, Hannah.
Hello.
So Hannah is you guys will do introductions in a minute, I'm sure, but Hannah's the planner from Boulder County. Anything else? All right, well then, thank you again. I'm gonna let you all get to work. You have a lot of work to do.
Good afternoon. I have met all of you individually, but I'm Victoria Simonson, the town administrator here in Lyons. And I am going to be, in regard to this task force, today I'm going to do a really basic board and commission training with you, because it's really sometimes hard to understand why do we have to go through all these notices and postings and minutes, and why can't we communicate on the side? So our trustee liaison, Trustee Hamrick, has requested that I do my 3-hour board and commission training in 15 minutes. So we're gonna be doing that today, but I first of all just want to welcome you. Please know, again, help yourself to lunch. We know this was very last minute. If you need a restroom, it's right around in that black door to the right, okay? We did put together for staff, and thank you, admin staff, for doing this. We put together just kind of a starting place for you to start collecting all of your things at IGA. So in your packet today, we did put a name tag until you get to know each other a little better. And we'll do introductions here in a minute. But in your packet is the agenda for today. We did put some of the maps that were requested by individuals. The full board and commission PowerPoint is in here. So for those slides I skip over today, if you want to review those further, they're there. As you have questions, I know some of you know that very well from serving on other commissions and boards, but this is going to be a quick refresher for you. And then, as required by all of our boards and commissions, you are now considered an agent of the town, and you represent the town of Lyons in this capacity. So there is our code of ethical standards of how we expect to treat each other with civility and professionalism. And so the ethics policy is in here, and we'd ask you to take that and read it. And then on the back page, there is a signature that you agreed to follow those ethical standards that we'd like you to return by your next meeting or at your next meeting, okay? Also in your packet, I believe we put the most current draft of the 2024 IGA, so you'll have a working copy and not just an electronic copy. And then our social media policy is in there as well, since that is kind of its own animal when it comes to communicating with the public when you are a representative of a board. And so we'll talk about that a little bit as well. So we're gonna start this morning or this afternoon by doing brief introductions. I saw some of you shared your resumes. Once you know who your recorder is gonna be today, your scribe, that will be up to that person. If anything you wanna share with the group should go through them. Okay, and you'll understand that in a minute. But not everyone did share theirs, and that's fine as well, but you guys can decide that. But we're gonna give you each a few minutes just to introduce yourself. If you have any connections already with any of these issues, like if you serve on a board or did previously. And I don't know, Chair or Trustee Hamrick, anything else you wanted to do in their intros? Do you want them to highlight why they want to serve on this or anything?
Yeah, I think that'd be good to hear
Okay,
what their interest is.
so I'm gonna start up here though. I'm gonna let Dolores.
Hi, I'm Dolores Vasquez, I'm the town clerk. Usually I relay everything to the Board of Trustees, as Victoria said, that way, if you send something to one member, you want to make sure that every member has it, so you're all have the same information. I'm always a good tool. If there's anything that you guys need or you're looking for, please feel free to reach out to me and I'll do my best to make sure you get what you need.
So Dolores is here only today with us to get us started and take minutes for today, because we have, as you'll find out, you have 10 days to get your minutes posted. So you have to have someone who's sharp at that stuff, but she's helping us today until you're organized. Andrew, why don't you go ahead?
I'm Andrew Bone, senior planner. Just here for support, background when needed. So
You've been here.
I've been here 4 months, so I know everything about life.
Yes, so Andrew was literally, I think it was your first day or second day, went to one of our IGA meetings and was kind of plopped into it. And so, yes, he does not have the length and history that some of you do, and is actually brings a pretty fresh perspective from several other communities that he has served previously, so.
I'm Barney Drysdale. I'm the liaison from the Planning Community Development Commission. So I'm a non-voting member of this group. Major focus would be to share things that the PCDC has discussed already about the IGA and to bring the information from this group back to the PCDC.
Thank you.
Hi, David Hamrick. I'm the board liaison. I was elected back in April. Prior to that, served on the PCDC for 5 years. So I've been in this role for 2 months now. So drinking from the fire hose. So, and I think I drew the short straw to be the liaison. So you guys get stuck with me.
I think we stuck it with you. I'm Wendy Miller. I have been part of town board meetings, business, whatever you want to say, housing issues, that sort of thing, since just after the flood. I sat on meetings with you, with Martin doing affordable housing stuff. I was on the town board for 6 years. And living in Lyons for 20. And yeah, I just, I want to make sure that Lyons is going to thrive, and it's hard.
I'm Jen Wingard. I always say you can mispronounce it. It's my married name. It's mispronounced often. We bought our house here in March of 2004, so over 20 years, and got very, very involved immediately because there was a lot going on with the town board and lots of decision making around land use. So sat in this room multiple times, lots of people, lots of very verbal people. I was on the fire department for a while. I'm recently retired. I retired 20 days before my mom died in 2022. Been very busy. We sold property in Estes Park where I grew up. Sold one house up there. Martin helped us do that. Thank you, Martin. We love Lions and we feel slightly guilty that we didn't spend more time doing the town board stuff as we got really busy in our careers, but now we're both retired and we want to make sure that all the voices get heard, not just business. All the proximal neighbors that don't get invited to a lot of discussions because of the way the rules are written. There's all these confusing districts, we got even Pinewood in Larimer County, Boulder County, right here too. So it's good that the process got slowed down and that this group got.
Why don't you just go around to, maybe say who you're representing as, like side of town, maybe you don't know, you are split up
Yeah.
kind of by homeowners, renters, business owners, and
yeah, I
north,
was-
south, or east.
I was a renter for a long time, but recently was able to buy a home with the Habitat, 6 Habitat homes that were built. In 2019, I moved in there, and so I represent the south side, is my south side.
And also business owner.
Oh,
I
I'm
think,
a business owner as well, yeah.
I'm a wild welcher. We won all the parades before I became a Lions polar bear, and then we started winning all the parades. But yes, we're a very great neighborhood over by the high school, and seen lots of change and discussions.
So you're representing Lions Valley Park.
Yes.
Yes.
Awesome. I'm Douglas Matthews. I'm from the north side. Have been in Lions for 23 years. I'd say the first 15 or 16, I spent more time in airports and in other countries than I did in Lions. But my family grew up here. My 2 daughters grew up here. Made it through school and college and are out on their own and struggling to make it through life on their own. I spent really the last 10 years heavily focused on helping organizations reorganize themselves, work through conflicts, work through sort of mediation, try to find problems, restructure organizational structures. And luckily I've moved on from that. I'm a kind of a part-time business broker helping people buy and sell businesses. But luckily going into the summer, I've been able to table all my projects. So I have an open slate for the next couple of months, which is fantastic. And look forward to trying to really take some of the drama and the emotion out of this discussion and the personalities out of the discussion and bring it back to what are the facts? What are we trying to do to really help our town thrive and be the fantastic place that it has been for decades and will be for decades to come. So that's my spiel.
My name's Martin Susloff. I've been in Lions coming up on 20 years in August. There's my boys here too. As Wendy mentioned, I was on the flood recovery task force, 2 of them, right?
Yeah,
Right?
Yeah.
The one main one and then a little bit offshoot.
yeah.
I feel like that was sort of an interesting, let's just say 360, where we identified a parcel that we thought was the most viable, but turns out it was too rocky. And then here we are
Yeah.
10 years later with housing there, so it feels like a win. Even though the original one got voted down, it's a long, interesting story. But I'm a certified residential appraiser by occupation. I own my own company, Treehouse Appraisals. Formerly worked for Boulder County Assessor's Office for 5+ years, Denver County Assessor's Office for 2+ years. So to hear Holly use the term highest and best use was very eye-opening, because that's really what it all boils down to. It's an appraisal term, and hopefully we can help figure that out. And I can offer my appraisal background and knowledge of how I know the IGA pretty well from my county time, and see what we can figure out to, as Wendy said, keep Lions thriving, help Lions thrive, and go forward.
Hi, I'm Cindy Fisher. We've been here 10 years. I didn't want to leave Boulder after my master's and PhD in geology and oceanography, but you know how it is, we got to make a living. So we left with the agreement and come back as soon as we possibly could afford it, maybe. And so we're here in Retired Professors. I live in Stone Canyon, and I'm here because I was dismayed at how when you look at the different maps between the different reports, things do not gel together. And I tried to get the answer of which supersedes which map at those meetings. And the county person, I think, gave me the answer, the IGA supersedes everything. But I don't feel like if you're gonna make this many reports, when you look at them, they should be saying opposite things about development. It sends a very confusing message, which can upset people, and I'd like to see that get straightened out. That's my motivation. Just clarity and details.
Hi, everybody. My name is Charlie Stevenson. I'm probably one of the newest folks in Lions, maybe apart from this guy here. My wife and I and our baby moved here in August. And we were in Boulder for the last 6 years. I'm originally from Washington State, but lived in Boston for many years with my wife, where we met at university. And I'm an entrepreneur. I've had several businesses, mostly in kind of like fun things like adventure travel and this and that. And but in the last several years, my wife and I began a business that invests in commercial real estate. And we started to pivot our business more towards an affordable housing model, just because we felt that it made a bigger impact on the national housing crisis. And so in the last 6 years, as we lived in Boulder, we were looking for a place to buy, but it became less and less affordable and busier. And every time we had a little bit of time, we wanted to relax, we found ourselves in Laverne Johnson because we really enjoy it here. And I grew up on rivers, fly fishing and hiking in the mountains and skiing and stuff. And more we find ourselves in Lions and we're like, well, why don't we just cut out that 15-minute drive and just be here? So we were really lucky because we found a great guy who was renting his house, and we're like, well, let's test it out for a year and see. And so that was 9 months ago, and we've fallen in love with this place. We love Lions, and our little baby is probably riding around with Jen on her golf cart right now. Like, so we're kind of getting ourselves into the community and met a lot of people, and I like to contribute wherever I am, and I felt like this would be something interesting. Doug, who I met as a business colleague, said that this could be an interesting place for me to contribute and bring some of my kind of, albeit new expertise to this space. And I live in the Confluence, and so there was a lot of talk over the last several months about developing some of that undeveloped land, or the land that was left over after the flood, into affordable housing. And I attended a couple of like community meetings that were sort of casual in nature, and had a chance to kind of jump into that conversation, feeling a little bit like an imposter because I'm just a renter nearby and these were all the owners in the neighborhood. But it gave me a sense of what kind of was happening in the community, and it made me realize I need to get an understanding of like what the general direction of it is. As my wife and I are looking to buy a piece of property or a home, we want to know kind of if we were to buy something where it would make sense and what the thrust of the growth of the community is. And so I did actually meet with the previous planner for the city, David. Yeah, I met with him when we first moved here and had a conversation, and he showed me this map and we looked at it. So I had a kind of an early look at it right after moving to town. And anyway, so excited to be a part of this and contribute any way that I can. Maybe I'm just listening and providing an outside perspective, kind of as you are, as someone kind of new to the community. But I appreciate it and look forward to getting to know you all. And yeah, happy to be here.
And I'm Julie Jacobs. Similar trajectory in terms of how I got to Lions. My husband and I moved to Boulder in 2011 and then kept coming to Lions every weekend. So we thought, well, if we can live here, why don't we? So we've been here 7 years now. We started out renting, and then we were lucky enough to find a house to buy 2020 right before the market exploded. So we would not be able to afford a house in Lyons today by any means. I'm a psychologist and then I went to law school. So I'm a psychologist turned attorney, but I really just work as a consultant for risk management and ethics for mental health providers. I work out of my home, so I am a business owner in Lyons, but it's not really a business that I don't think I have any Lyons clients. I did a clerkship for Boulder County, so I do have some background with a little bit of, a year of doing some land use work with them. And then I also worked at a real estate law firm as a clerk and as an associate attorney just for 2 years. So I have just enough information to think I know something, but not really know much. But at least I know how to read statutes and maps and zoning laws and things like that. And that's it. I mean, I love this town. I live in Old North. And I want to find a way to balance development and affordable housing and to keep this place a thriving, diverse community.
You gotta make me feel so bad.
Oh,
But you're
just in
here,
time.
and we're still doing
We're just doing
introductions.
introductions.
So you are the last person to introduce
Now
yourself.
you say it's my turn.
No pressure, Sonny.
It is your turn.
I feel like I'm in church. Good to see everybody.
It is your turn.
You really did just miss all the introductions. So you're the next one.
Yeah, you're the last introduction.
And that was
Go for
Well,
No pressure.
good to see everybody. Most everybody who does know me. Been in lines a while. You just saying hello, Sonny Smith?
And why you were interested in serving and what neighborhood you represent.
Oh my God, wow, I'm interested in serving. I'm in the Lowndes townhomes. Actually, I was interested in serving because we needed to have someone to represent the people up there and the people who are in supposedly low income. What we call low income. Lord have mercy, that's so far from what we call subsidized low income. And so since I have arrived in January, there's been some issues that have arrived up there. And so I'm having some problems up there. And so I'm trying to work on some things to get some things subsidized up there because I'm a disabled veteran, come from the Vietnam era, and I'm on a fixed income and it's kind of difficult to be up there. And I'm getting some notices that I'm finding difficult. And I just had a contractor come into my space up there yesterday because my floors have to be totally taken out and redone already because what happened when they were put in. And so that's sad news, but it's difficult for me because the furniture has to be taken out to accommodate that. So that's an inconvenience for me. And also what's been an inconvenience for me is I haven't been able to, I'm not accommodated as far as the way the shower and the bath is up there. And I've addressed that since I've been up there and it still has not been taken care of.
What was your interest in serving on this IGA task force?
Okay, well, it was because to accommodate situations
To represent
for veterans,
people that are.
things like that, for veterans, obviously, especially for veterans.
And renters.
And renters,
And renters.
and handicapped people.
Wear a lot of hats.
So that's why. Okay?
Great, yeah, we'll let you
So
get
I'm
to
sorry
it.
if I went further than.
No, you're
That's all right,
good.
you're good, you're fine.
Introductions online. I think we just have Hannah.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good, you're good.
I'm gonna write this one.
You have a take.
You don't have to put it.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Hannah Hibley. I am the Long Range Planning Division Manager at Boulder County and have been working on the development of this intergovernmental agreement. Oh gosh, Victoria, when did we get this started? Since throughout 2023, I've been with the county in my position since 2020. Have lived in Boulder County since 1995, so I'm familiar with Lyons and familiar with sort of the development of the IGA in the county perspective. So hopefully I can help you in your task, and feel free to tap me in if you need that perspective or need any help from the county side of things. Happy to be here and glad to see us moving forward.
So, before we get into the meat of a few things, thank you for those introductions. It's nice to see representation from the entire community. For this meeting, we purposely put all of us on this side of the room because we are purely liaisons. We are non-voting. We are here to answer questions for you. We are here to help you understand background. We're here to help you understand what the trustees are wanting. But after today, this group of people are going to be hosting the conversation and deciding how you want to move through this document, how you want to get your recommendations back to the board, hopefully within the next 7 weeks, right? The Andrew's going to start, and some of you might have, you all have it electronically, I believe. I put a hard copy in your packet. The original are the 2024 IGA. Is it in your packet?
I don't think it is.
Okay, let me go get it. She printed it yesterday. She told me to put it in the packet. Did she give it to you?
There's three maps and,
No, the 24 should be in there. She printed them yesterday. So we're gonna have that for you to, as you guys start your discussions, to identify how you want to move forward with items. I do want to let you all know, we are being recorded. So just hold that first. It is also going to be, so it is on the internal Zoom meeting link on the town's website. It's also, I believe, being live streamed on YouTube.
Okay.
So that's a good reminder to all of us, especially those who maybe aren't used to that, to help us all keep a professional decorum and those things. It can be, I know some of your discussions are gonna get passionate, and I just wanna be fully transparent so you know you are all being recorded. Oh, okay. Well, it's okay. We'll get those to you. Anyway, we wanted to provide to you, as our next step, and we know that today's not gonna get a lot accomplished in regard to, the IGA itself, but, Andrew has agreed to do kind of an overview of why the task force, the resolution that formed it, so you understand your scope of responsibilities, your mission, your timeline, and, what? Okay, and, Hannah, you're also welcome when we get into the overview of the 2012 and 24 IGA to kick in there as well. But, you need the resolution?
No,
that-
actually, I think I was gonna do that.
Oh, you're doing that. Okay, I'm
That's why
sorry,
it
David.
was quickly scurrying, trying to find.
I was gonna hit it on the same.
Trustee Hammond.
So, thank you, everybody, for being
You're doing
here.
the
This is,
overview.
important to get citizen input, so I appreciate everybody, signing up. It was a tough selection process. We have a lot of good candidates, but I think we have a good geographic representation, as well as a diverse background, which I think for a team like this is important. But anyway, so hopefully everybody's had a chance to look through the resolution, but I'll go through this real quick so we can get to the 3-hour boards and commission training that Victoria wants to do.
No, it's not.
But I'll just hit the high points here, just so we kind of know what the ground rules. I think a lot of it's already been covered. But the last board was the one that put this resolution together April 1st.
We don't have it.
Okay, it was sent out. I'll
Well,
cover
it's
it.
okay.
No, it was electronic.
Okay, okay.
I didn't
Yeah.
print everything we sent out.
Yeah, and it's,
Just-
I'll
yeah,
cover
yeah.
the high points here. But anyway, so the last board put this resolution together. The current board was the one that went through and did the selection process. So, and as said, it was 7 residents, and it was gonna be 3 renters, 3 homeowners, 1 business owner. Given the mix of, we kind of shuffled things around. We have a few more homeowners, which is fine. And then as we went through that process, like we said, it was really looking at trying to get a diverse geographic component, just so we have good representation across the town. With also, at least me personally, I wanted to make sure we had a balanced representation. I know this is a very passionate topic for most people, but, and probably people are coming in with somewhat of a biasness, but I would hope as we go through this, and I was glad as we did the introductions, everybody, you know, I think it's important to keep a view of the long-term success of the town and keep that in mind as we go through this. And I was glad to hear that a number of people brought that up, that this is really a long-term view of what the town is. So, anyway, and then as Victoria mentioned, we're all liaisons, including Hannah from Boulder County. So we're here to help assist in whatever we can, but we will not be voting. And the task force, really the whole purpose of the task force is to not reinvent everything, but take what that draft IGA that the last board of trustees did and use that as a starting point. So if you want to throw it out the window, you can, but I think there's probably not enough time to do that. So use that as a starting point. And then the recommendations will be presented to the board of trustees. Hopefully we can get it done in 6 to 8 weeks. The resolution had a 3-month fuse on it, so we're already going to have to go back and amend the resolution, but that's okay. But anyway, so hopefully the end result will be the deliverable will be a presentation to the board of trustees, or it could be in a written format. Hopefully there's unanimous consent on it. If there's not, then a couple different views can be presented. So, so really that's it. And the hope is if we can get this done in 6 to 8 weeks, just from I believe you have momentum starting off, and if the thing drags out, things tend to lose some fizz. So anyway, so thank you for participating, and I think it'll be an interesting process. So thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Hammer. Anything else? Anybody over here wants to mention? Okay. All right, so in talking, once the Board of Trustees formed this group as a task force, you became, that you need to follow the rules and regulations of a board, a commission, or a task force in the town of Lyon. So,
Victoria,
yes,
would this be a good time for people to grab food?
sure, if they want you, yeah, please, if you need to eat while we do this little training, go for it. Go for it. It's because the window, we open the window up there, please. It has a swap. It has to be pulled out. There you go. Thank you. Just
I too am trying to sneak some lunch, so if I turn my camera off, that's what I'm doing.
Okay, that's great. Sorry, where is this shit? Chips. Salad. There's a couple of salads over there. There's chips. There we go. All right. So I just did board and commissions training last week for all the regular boards and commissions. So we're going to be doing an abbreviated version for you guys since you're not, formal board and commission. So I'm gonna skip through a lot of these. There's a Denver there. Okay, this PowerPoint is in your packet, so if you want to take notes, you sure can. I am going to, like I said, be skipping through most of the forward area of this and try to be done well before lunch. Okay, there you go. Okay, we usually do a background of municipal government and give a little civics classes about why there's different forms of government and what Lions is and who's not part of Lions. We talk about the trustees' role in our government, which I'll let you read those on your own. Their large role, the role of the mayor pro tem, the role of my position, town administrator. There's a table of organization in there to help you understand. Right now, you guys fall right here under boards and commissions and town of Lyons residents. So staff are here to support. Here's a list of all of our formal boards and commissions that operate on a monthly basis. Each of those boards and commissions has 7 people on it. So you can see we, on a monthly basis, have about 80 people we hear from every month. So you are now a new cross-section of that group. The authority to form a board, commission, or a task force is set out by Colorado statute. And as such, our board is able to put together what is called an ad hoc or temporary committee called a task force. That's what you are. Task forces can be advisory or decision-making. You guys are going to be advisory. So you will be making a recommendation to the Board of Trustees, okay? When your job is done, the task force goes away, right? The advisory boards and commissions, your role is to gather information and make recommendations to the Board of Trustees. You do have the ability as a group to positively influence the formation of policy, which is the role of the trustees to adopt policy. So this is a really great opportunity for you to affect that change, and the IGA will be adopted as policy, basically. Yeah.
Do we ask questions?
Sure.
So a couple people referred to voting, so amongst our group. So is that where we would vote in order on what that recommendation that we make is? Okay.
And who, you might be voting on things in, you know, up to then. If you might be looking at individual parcels you want to talk about and vote on or whatever. You will be voting internally in the 7 or 8 of you, yes. So we just want to make sure you understand that you are an advisory board, temporary ad hoc. If at any point we need to clarify what they're expecting from you, we can certainly do that. But that's why Trustee Hamrick is here. He is your liaison back to the trustees. So if you say, how far do they want us to get into this, or what, you know, he can take that back to the Board of Trustees. Mr. Drystad can take that back to the Planning Commission as well. And then, you know, if at any point we need to meet as a joint group, we can do that as well. But that's why you have these liaisons. So we're not going to be going through all this. Here's the staff role. The staff is here to really provide information that you guys might need. We know that most of you probably have other things to do in your life as well. So we can do that. We can clarify procedures. We can help you find what other communities are doing. If there are impacts that we know a discussion you're having might have on something else, you know, like if we know an area has the endangered species Preble's mouse, we can tell you that to say that is off limits for development, you know, but we're here to whatever we can do to help you make best decisions you can make. Our involvement, and we'll stay out of it after today other than how you request it, but is to help you be as efficient as possible and as effective as possible. If you need copies of things, you know, let us know, we'll get those printed. If you want bigger maps, you know, whatever we can do to make your task more efficient.
We want bigger maps.
We are non-voting members as staff, and our goal is to stay objective. We don't, we all take kind of an oath of neutrality. We deal in facts and data. Sorry about that. Let's see. We are not able, according to code, to serve as the chair, vice chair, or recorder for your group. You'll be choosing those on your own. Again, we kind of provide a more holistic review, our view of things, because we're more familiar with utilities. You know, where is it feasible to get utilities? Where, how can the fire department serve this area? You know, we have staff trained in all of the areas that you might not know of or be aware of. And so we want to make sure whatever you're recommending is truly able to be accomplished. And then our job, the trustees set the policies and make the decisions. It's the staff's job to implement those and figure out how to implement those and enforce those. And of course, Andrew is gonna be here to help you with scheduling and agenda and any logistics. This is kind of for all of our boards and commissions task force, kind of just a more visual way to look at the trustees being the policy-making authorities. They appoint the boards and commissions, staff support you, and you give recommendations back. All of it sandwiched between the expectations of the board, okay? So you were asking about this meeting thing. As an official task force, you will be following something called the Open Meetings Law, sometimes referred to as OML. It is because we are a statutory town. These are the two state laws that identify how we have to act and behave. And then in the Lions Municipal Code, there's also a whole set of rules regarding regular and special meetings. It is kind of expected that in general, you'll follow basic Robert's Rules of Order, okay? You don't have to know all the details of how they use it, very detailed, but in general, your chair should be calling on people. If you are doing something, ask for a motion, vote on things like that, okay? Set a time to start, to end, just to keep your meeting effective and moving along. You will have to post an agenda before each meeting. It has to be up on the website at least 24 hours prior. Okay, so that kind of means this group is probably going to have to set their agenda before your next meeting, because you aren't going to be able to communicate with more than 2 of you outside of this meeting. Right?
What's that mean with more than 2 of you?
I will show
There
you.
are 2 people.
No more than
particular
2.
who can-
No more than 2 of you can talk outside of this meeting together about this topic.
Even to
At a
satisfy.
time
At the same
or
time.
at a time or
No,
total, the
Total.
whole week between?
total. Otherwise, it's called a serial meeting.
Okay.
If you talk to him, he
Well, it
talks to
did seem
her.
ridiculous to me.
Well, this is
Right.
part
I
of.
mean, that you could only have 2 and it wouldn't,
Then it
move
becomes
on down the
meeting.
line. So,
That's correct.
so at every meeting, do you set which 2 people get to talk to each other or something?
No, what the open meetings law does is it makes sure that discussions and decisions are made in public.
Right.
Well, I'm good with that. I'm just trying to figure out how to follow it.
Well, we'll help you with that. We follow it for every meeting we have, so we will help you. You will always have to have a minimum of a quorum present, okay? A quorum is the majority of the membership. So there are 7 assigned, and we have 1 alternate, and that is Jen. Jen is going to be attending all your meetings. So if at any point one of you is not able to attend, or one of you needs to drop out, for whatever reason, life happens, we have someone who's totally up to speed with all your discussions and decisions, okay?
And highly reliable.
Oh, yes. So, you will always have to have 4. I think the board's expectation is that because this is such a short-term task force, you're going to agree on a meeting time and space that, hopefully 6 of the 7 of you can be there at. But that will be up to you guys. You just, to be able to take action, you need at least 4.
And that can include virtual, like if
Sure.
one of us is traveling.
Yep,
like can still
virtual is
Zoom in?
fine.
Okay.
Yep. And then minutes. You will have to keep minutes of your meetings. Okay, they don't have to be detailed minutes, he said, she said. They're called action minutes. So you can say we had a basic discussion about whatever, because everything's recorded. So if we ever need it, we can go back and look at it. But basic action minutes, because those also will get published. And that is a transparency mechanism for any public organization, so people can see what's coming up and what happened. So you will be keeping minutes, and those will get sent within 10 days of your meeting, which again, you'll probably be meeting more than every 10 days. So You might decide you want them up within 48 hours or something. And whoever's chosen as a recorder will get you the email address to where you will send those minutes. And they'll be posted as draft minutes until they're approved at your next meeting. Okay. So the state identifies who these rules apply to. So they apply to all local public bodies, including any board, committee, commission, or other policymaking, rulemaking, advisory, or formally constituted body of a political subdivision of a state or municipality. That's why we have to follow this, is it is a law. And you guys have fit into that definition. So those of you who want to go look at the code, you're welcome to. And then the question is, so what is a meeting? A meeting is any kind of gathering convened to discuss public business. A meeting, it can be constituted in person, by telephone, electronically, or other means of communication. Thus, you can't talk by telephone with more than 2 of you, or by email with more than 2 of you. A meeting constitutes when 3 or more members, or a quorum if there's less than 3, which doesn't pertain to you guys, where business is discussed or formal action may be taken. The gathering is considered a meeting subject to law. Right?
That's why you say you can't talk outside.
Yes.
It's not like aiming with 2 means a meeting.
It's the opposite. 3. 3 mean a meeting. So 2 of you are welcome to talk, okay? You can communicate one way, like staff can communicate one way with you to say, we've set up the meeting for this, or does anybody need any whatever. But if you get anything from staff, never reply all. Never reply all. And I'm going to tell you why. Because if you do, you are subjecting your computer to open records.
Okay. Oh,
And if
wow.
someone says, I want to see if you've been communicating with those 2, they can come and take your whole computer and search it.
You didn't know what you were signing up.
So
Reply all.
hopefully this helps you explain why it's so difficult for the trustees to even,
Sure.
you know, they have to take care of all their business in a couple hours every
Right.
couple weeks.
Wow.
And it's tough. And so you guys are now under this, and it will be our jobs, the 3 of us, to make sure you're doing that.
To clarify though, like,
Yeah.
we can still, like you're saying, 2 people can talk and we can share our thoughts and opinions and
Yes,
whatever on this, if we just need
Yes.
some feedback.
Yep.
And that doesn't need to then be, I don't need to have that same conversation with everybody
No.
one-on-one.
if you do, then you're
No,
breaking it,
then
because
it's a
there's
meeting.
also
That's-
something called a serial meeting.
Right, oh, right, okay.
So
And
we
that's
thought
where
we should not-
you're
you
just
should not
holding
tell
them on the side, and when you get there, you all know the same thing, and then the public's like, how did you guys know you all felt like that?
Sure.
Can't play telephone.
You can't
Right.
play the telephone.
Okay.
Okay, so what is not a meeting? Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry, and if you, this may be a question ahead of it, but if there's a topic, like we want to get something on the agenda for our next meeting.
Yeah.
Would we communicate that to our scribe?
It's gonna be your chair when you decide. The chair and the staff will get that agenda set and distributed.
Right. Okay.
To us, that's okay.
Yep. So what is not a meeting according to state law? Chance meetings or social gatherings at which discussion of public business is not the central purpose.
So we don't have to run away if we see each other.
So
this
if,
way.
so if you guys are at the concert series, those are coming up now every Wednesday. If you see each other, that's fine, you know, you're welcome to acknowledge each other, say hi, great meeting, but don't talk about the meeting. Okay, if, do not stand with 3 of you together. No, seriously, there are, believe it or not, there are people out there watching for you to break these rules.
Oh, really? And then
Please don't anybody reply all. I can't really handle having my electronics taking away from me. And I can just see we're novices. I mean,
No, that's
it's
why.
frightening to me that I
Well,
know.
no,
I have to live with what someone
Well, and
does.
that's why we have an alternate. So if
Online.
anyone says after today, I can't do this, then that's
I mean,
okay.
that's massive.
But if you were and don't just hang the three of you, because it just looks like you're talking about this.
Right.
Right?
The appearance of a
I
conflict.
constantly at social gatherings in this town, am constantly breaking up trustees. That are just, they don't mean to, they, you know, they just see each other and they're hi, and all of a sudden there's three, it's like splits.
That's
Um, there are people that actually, I remember we had some First Amendment folks come by with cameras and just followed us around one day. It was like, we're not, you know, it's just weird. The other thing that is not a meeting is electronic mail communication, around, it should say among officials, that does not relate to pending legislation or public business. So let's say two of you have kids and they're both in soccer. If you two send a note about soccer, not a big deal.
Yeah.
Not a big deal, okay? But social media, as you can imagine, when that really took off, what, a decade ago, really put a turn on this, open meetings, because more than three of you are probably reading and watching certain Facebook sites.
Sure.
If you choose that you want to respond on a Facebook site right now or other types of social media about this topic, you need to be sure that you are putting, this is my personal opinion, not the opinion of the task force. And you have to do it every time. Right? If the group as a whole decides you want to put something out, that's where you let your liaison know, we'll help you get that done, okay? And it will be on behalf of the task force. But if you start getting involved with discussions now, it needs to be your personal opinion, not that of the task force. Until you have a full recommendation.
Victoria?
Yeah.
Could you clarify one thing that you just brought up was, so if somebody hit reply all, then we're all subjected to our computers being searched, or just the person who hit reply all?
No, I mean, it could, I mean, it's pretty rare. We get open records requests 2 or 3 a month.
Yeah.
We get 2 or 3 a month at town hall.
Oh, I'm sure.
So, it could subject you, that's what the attorney would say.
Okay.
It could subject you to that. If someone wanted to pursue it and went through all the formal paperwork to file it, it could subject you to it.
But not just the person who hit reply
No.
all, everybody.
And you could take our phones, so we're phoneless.
Oh, they have ways to
I
take
can't
off
be
of your phone
phoneless.
without
They'll just
taking
take
your
your
phone.
They probably just take all your data.
They would take the data,
without
not the phone.
having your
They're probably already
device.
doing it.
Yeah.
I know many people have stolen my data since I lived in this Kansas
We
state,
just
but, you
had a
know.
FOIA request 2 weeks ago, and it ended up being 2 terabytes
Oh,
of
wow.
information
Oh, wow.
that we had to turn over. It takes like a whole day of work. We get totally taken away from what we should be
Well,
doing.
how do you protect,
We have 3 days to
how do you
respond.
protect our passcodes and our bank data if they take our whole phones worth of information?
Attorneys have to go through it and decide what's releasable and what's not.
So you trust whoever
This
goes
isn't
through
meant,
it.
yeah, this isn't meant to scare any of you. It's to protect you so that as you
I
move
know.
forward.
I'll do my best not to hang out with you guys.
May I
Don't
suggest
talk to
you should
me.
scare everyone, because it is terribly easy
Oh,
to
sure.
not see how many people are on email
Yeah.
and just hit reply. So please
Absolutely.
frighten everyone. for
Yeah.
me, will you?
Yes, and so we'll help you with that. And so once, I think it's already even happened before we had this
Yeah.
first meeting, just to say, uh-oh, hang up, time out, guys.
Yeah.
Don't reply to this, we'll talk about it. So, again, there's plenty of information. If this becomes an issue, we'll bring in our town attorney and let him talk with you, but I don't anticipate it at all. Okay, so open meetings, has a clause that says they have to be full and timely, and we already talked about this. Your meetings have to be posted in certain places. The clerk will always post it on the town website and on the town bulletin board. Those are the 2 places we have to post every one of your meetings, at least 24 hours. in
Where,
advance.
no, and where?
Town website on
the town website and the town bulletin board.
When you say that, do you actually mean a physical thing? You put a
Yeah.
thumbtack in? I didn't know there was one.
No,
I-
not
That's hilarious.
Well, not everybody's.
No, it's just cute, right?
The other thing is that your meetings, need to occur, let me see if it's on the next one. Oh, yeah. You guys can look at these further, but your recorder must take your minutes. You'll be able to see this. Meetings must be recorded and promptly posted, which will teach whoever you guys decide. The other thing about, meetings and minutes that I wanted to tell you, and I gotta remember what it was now, because I thought it was on this slide. Your meetings must be held in a public setting that is accessible to the general public without the expectation of having to purchase something. So sometimes we get folks that'll say, why don't we meet at my house? No, that is not allowed. No meeting in any of your personal homes. You need to meet in the two best places for you guys are really the library and town hall. And they have to be recorded. And so you have to have the technology to do that. So those are really your only two options. And,
I assume what you mean is the town hall has to have the technology to do that.
the
The meeting-
state says you have to
Meeting
record it.
space.
The
In the
state
meeting
says you
In the
have
meeting
to.
space, right? I mean,
We just met.
Yeah. So we have to have a way to zoom it and all that. So the library and the town, we both have that technology, but sometimes, you're like, can we just meet at Oscar's and have a beer? No. No.
Unless you bring the owl.
Yeah.
Get him a beer
But you
too.
can't meet where there's an expectation that the public who might be watching has to buy something. Okay?
So, and that raises a really good question, because I think it's a topic I was gonna bring up
Yeah.
when we talk about our next agenda. So one of the things I think we should do, or it would be nice for the task force to do, is physically see some of the
Yes,
different
we agree.
properties.
We agree, yeah.
Do we have to do that in groups of two, or can we find a way to say,
No, we'll
it's a
post-
workshop?
We'll post the meeting.
We'll post it as a meeting and
And then
then
you're
members of
touring.
the task force may be attending.
Okay.
So we just have to
guided tour.
Okay,
just
okay. So we can work around that. Okay,
Absolutely.
perfect.
You can
Just as
post-
long as it's posted.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. this
Okay.
is-
We are not gonna go through this because I'm past my time, but I taught you a little bit about the ethics code. You need to please read that, sign it, return it. Confidentiality, you guys will probably not be having any executive session discussions. You cannot accept gifts from people who might be trying to bribe your opinion on this. The new gift limit for the state is $75, which I think that's hard.
I
It's pretty
know.
nice. But anyway, you just, again, you are now representing the public. And so you are held to a little higher expectation of transparency, professionalism. You do not want to do anything that gives the appearance that you might be getting bought off by somebody, okay? If you need to, it is perfectly fine to say whatever topic you might be talking about. Doug, I'm gonna use you for an example. I neighbor this property we're talking about, and I am just too close. If you say I can't be impartial about it, it's okay. It's okay to say that. But at the same time, you're also representing neighborhoods, all right? So you're gonna have to kind of take yourself out from your personal interest to look at the community interest, okay? And honestly, if whoever you select as your chair does have the responsibility to say, you know what? I think this one's just too close for you. If somebody gets just, it's okay. It's okay to sometimes be too close. We're a small town. It's hard to make decisions about your neighbors and things like that. So it's okay. If you do have any conflict of interest coming up, like, I own that piece of property, or I have a bid on it, or I once bid on it, you need to disclose that and you do not participate, right? Any conflicts of interest, financially, legally, real property, that kind of thing. And I don't think nepotism is gonna be an issue here, but I think you all know what that is. We're not gonna be dealing with that. Here's the chair's responsibility, because you're gonna pick one of those today. You're gonna set and distribute the agenda in advance of the meeting. You're gonna preside over the meeting. You're gonna make sure people are following the code of ethics, and if they're not, you're gonna call them on it. You gotta have to be able to do that. You're gonna maintain the decorum at meetings. Keep your members on track, follow basic Robert rules, set reasonable time limits, summarize your actions, and then of course recognize all members. A vice chair does the same exact thing in the absence of the chair. And then in our code, it's called a second vice chair, but that's also the recorder, the scribe of your meetings. So right now, you all need to think about if any of you are willing to take one of those roles in your own head, because in a few minutes, we're going to talk about that. As an individual task force member, these are your responsibilities. You are to work in the best interest of the overall community, not for your personal gain. You come prepared and done your homework. You arrive on time. After today, we give you one pass. Keep an open mind, listen to others' opinions. Try to avoid distractions. So when you're here, you know, turn off your phone, make other arrangements to just try to avoid that. Don't dominate the discussion. Make sure everyone gets to talk. Be respectful. Agree to disagree. If we need to do anything on that, we can do more. Following basic rules and protocol. And everybody's job to support the chair, because that's a hard role. Okay. And then there's a few more miscellaneous items here. And that's one. So that's all in your packet. Feel free to read it. If you have specific questions, you can always write any of us individually as well. It doesn't have to be everybody. When we get a question from one of you, we are going to respond to all of you, as Andrew said, so that everybody's got the same information.
And we're safe if we don't respond back?
Yep, and we'll put
Because
that
if
on
we
there.
all respond back, we broke the rule, right?
Yes. So we will make sure we always say do not
Don't
reply.
respond. Thank you very much.
In
Big
bold,
letters.
underline. So that's 2.5 hour board and commission training in 20 minutes.
Very good.
Nicely done.
Well done.
Victoria,
Yes.
can I ask real quick, what area each one of the people on
Sure.
this task force represents? Because I know I'm representing one particular area, but can I know what area each person is representing?
Uh-huh.
I missed that part.
Yep, you did miss it. So go quickly around and say where you represent.
I'm south side.
South
South
side.
So I'm representing the east side. Right? Okay, I'm not sure, I know I'm joking, I'm sorry. So I'm not sure.
She's south side
And a business
homeowner,
owner.
business owner.
Okay,
Go ahead, Jen.
South side homeowner.
okay,
North side home.
okay.
I don't know
You're
if I
south.
can really pigeonhole myself. I lived in unincorporated Boulder County for 10 years. For the flood, now I have 10 years in Lions Valley Village, so condo, townhome.
So you're south side.
Okay, and that's why, because I kind of know all you guys, familiar faces.
So I kind of have an overview of the whole thing.
Okay.
But right now, if you have to be pigeonholed by where I live, I guess it'd be south side.
Okay,
Stone Canyon.
okay, and I know who you are too. So I know they love me.
I'm in the Confluence and I'm representing as a renter,
Okay,
so a renter in the Confluence. Yeah.
And I'm the owner in North Side.
on the north side, okay, so I
That's
know, so I know.
Yep.
See, so I know,
And you're in Eagle Canyon.
right,
Me? No, I'm on Old North.
You're in Old.
I'm on
That's
Ridge
right, lower.
and I know Barney, but I don't think I
Oh,
know
Andrew.
Andrew. Andrew,
He's
okay.
the planner.
You're planning?
That's general response.
He's
I'm
new
David.
about
Dave, I don't know if I've ever met you.
Just a question
I'm
and
the
clarification. So in terms of the
Alright,
definition
I
of
heard all that. Oh, you
representing,
heard about me? Oh, yeah,
Um, is that
Yeah, I
pretty
live on the
informal,
west
right?
side,
I mean,
west
do we
side.
have
I
some
know
specific requirement of
No, I don't.
talking to I mean, obviously, because I live there, I'll
Yeah.
have some sense of what the needs are in that space, but like, do I need to formally represent the Confluence as a?
No, David, you were involved with the discussion on why you wanted representation from each area of town.
Yeah, I mean, I think reach out to your neighbors and friends and get input.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not limited to a geographic area, but we
Right.
just wanted to make sure we had all the bases covered.
And we're not breaking the rule if we talk to more than one neighbor to.
No.
No, because they're
No.
not
To
task
any
force.
neighbor.
Have a block party.
Just-
So now we can feel, this is so
You're
cool.
only restricted from us.
I only have
Just
one
you.
phone.
Just
Right.
you.
We won't come after you.
So-
We want you to talk to everyone.
Yeah.
So, this is cool, I'm cool with this, this is okay.
You probably said this, but are the three of you always gonna be at the meeting?
They will be, I will,
Yeah,
Maybe
just, I would
not.
just,
there'll be a planner for the town.
The big three.
And
And the
Boulder
county.
County
in
rule,
Boulder County.
so we'll see you every once in a while.
Yeah.
Okay,
Or if you want me here every time, I'll make it work.
and we could request, Holly spoke at the.
mayor
So we
has
could
it, yeah.
request the mayor. Okay. And we could request subject matter experts if you want, Aaron to come in and talk about utilities or whatever.
We don't wanna get too far down that rabbit hole.
Okay,
No, but if
so
we need
next
to-
agenda.
Yeah, so next, I'll just give a brief overview because we do have some action items before we leave here today. And now that you all have the copy of, the current draft IGA, it'd be great if you just go home over the next week and kind of try to consume as much as possible. Kind of the quick is, we're working right now, the current IGA that we're working on is the 2012. And the draft that you see in front of us is the 2024. So I want to start first and foremost, the IGA is a partnership between Boulder County and Town of Lyons. And so kind of the big overarching goal of this IGA is to control growth, to grow where we can and where responsible. But then also meet our comprehensive plans, that's the Town of Lyons, but then also so Boulder County can meet their comprehensive plan. And that really is to try, if areas are gonna urbanize, and I say that by, building houses, providing infrastructure, not urbanize as in apartment buildings, but footprints are going to be built, whatever that is, single family, whatever, to have that clustered around town. And then, so as far as kind of the overarching goals that are reflected in both documents, you will notice that the current draft is quite a bit shorter than the 2012. And that was a big push just to kind of simplify the language, take out redundancies, and just make it a more accessible draft and a more accessible document. But kind of the purpose of intent that will carry over from the current 2012 to now are really kind of to implement our comprehensive plans, reorganize future urban development. And again, that's making sure that we're not urbanizing in the middle of the county somewhere, that it's at least clustered close to services, close to infrastructure and roads. And, towns, municipalities, we have in our code, we have requirements for those urban facilities, sidewalks, drainage. Counties normally are not, that's not really in their wheelhouse. So that's another part of this.
So, excuse me, when you say counties, I noticed like Lyons, so Lyons is a city, but you also say counties. And I know we're doing a lot of stuff in town to rectify a lot of cool things right in the city limits kind of town. And now that I'm realizing my situation, I see that every curb and everything in town is getting redone, to adjust things within the city and town. But then there's little things that are starting to get done. And so you're, like you said, you're planning and you're adjusting the thing, but a lot of times you say county, but you're also, when you're talking about town, we're saying, do you say city too, or do you say town?
So I will always
What's the
refer to
definition?
Lyons as town.
Just say town.
Yeah.
Not city, you
Yeah.
say town. Okay, cool.
Yeah, so, and the reason why I bring up Boulder County is this IGA is a joint agreement between Boulder County
Okay.
and the Town of Lyons.
Okay,
So
okay.
Boulder County has a similar intergovernmental development plan agreement with the other municipalities too.
Okay.
So Boulder, Hannah, how many municipalities are in Boulder County? 8?
Put her on the spot.
Put her on the
There's
spot
like
there.
8 of them or something. So we all have an agreement because Boulder County, Colorado
Okay.
is quite a rarity in the nation.
Oh, yeah.
No, really, we are.
Many levels.
At many levels. And part of that is because we have chosen as residents of this county to preserve open space.
Oh, yeah.
Other places just expand.
Right.
And it goes crazy. So because the county has their comprehensive long-range plan that says we want to preserve certain topographical features, certain mountains. We want to preserve that certain places don't get too dense. They have this agreement with each city and town that says, okay, we're in agreement that these are logical places for you to expand your utilities. These are logical places where we might see some growth. And then other areas that are referred to as rural preservation are off limits. And what we're trying to do is come up with what's reasonable for both. What's reasonable around Lyons to never be touched, and what's reasonable that someday, not this year, next year, and 5 years, someday, this is a 20-year plan. We might want to utilize that space for growth.
Right.
And so, and it's all types of growth that we're talking about. You know, going out east, it's been identified in our comprehensive plan that that's a logical place for commercial development, light industrial, maybe more dense housing. But we are unique, Lyons is unique from the other communities in that we are landlocked.
Oh, yeah.
We are landlocked.
There's just nowhere to go.
And we all love to be in our little landlocked community, but it's not feasible from a sustainability perspective, a financial perspective. We've already seen what's happened to the housing market, our retail market, our commercial downtown. No one can afford to rent a space anymore. Taxes are more than what they were even paying. You know, it's outrageous. So we have to find what is a good balance for Lyons to still have residences, people who can still have businesses here, still get some services here, medical, that would be nice. You know, some of the basic services, or are we going to just shut the doors and become a bedroom community? And so that's what the comprehensive plan did, was listen to the whole community to say, what do we want to look like? And it's okay to say, we want it to stay like it is. It's okay to say that. But how do you make that happen if it goes up to, you know, an average house being 1.5 million and there's no one to work in a restaurant?
Right.
There
Victoria, the reason I wanted to jump on this as fast as I could, we have a North Carolina swimming pool right there in the middle of town. I mean, I wanted to fill it with water and just go ahead and put that there, said we have no lifeguard. I know I fell, but I'm sorry, I called it North Carolina swimming.
He's from North Carolina.
Okay.
I don't know what that means, so I'm interested. Catch up after.
So anyway, so this plan is working with Boulder County
Right.
to say what's reasonable for both of us.
Right.
To meet our goals. And that's what we've been working on for about 2 years. The Board of Trustees had Mayor Rogan representing them. And then Hannah, as planning staff and our planning staff, would go meet with their staff and their county commissioner that was assigned. And we started through this negotiation. What's a reasonable amount in Lyons to keep us thriving? So that's what we're doing. So, but what's hard is if you give it up to rural preservation, that's probably forever. You're never, ever gonna get that back, right?
Like open space,
Yeah.
like Hall Ranch, Hale Ranch.
Yeah,
That's never gonna be on the
No.
table for development.
So
right?
even with this being a 20-year plan, does that not, so after 20 years, it stays rural preservation forever? Or-
it'll probably get either a conservation easement or become open space.
Okay, but so the reality is, even though this is a 20-year plan, rural preservation will stay rural preservation.
It's pretty rare, and I think Hannah would agree, that you expand your urbanization area after you're done. So-
Just real quick,
Yeah,
Just-
Yeah.
because things are designated rural preservation either now in our plan, I mean, the plan that we're looking at today changes a number of properties from rural preservation to development. So I wouldn't say that that's completely off the table. What we're doing is establishing what we think is appropriate for the next kind of 20 years. You know, what's gonna stay rural, what's gonna be developed over the next 20 years. I think what happens, you know, particularly outside the planning area, when things are designated rural preservation, one of the benefits of this is that the county's not buying property or doesn't pursue property purchases that are designated for development. So it helps eliminate that conflict.
just as we agree, we won't promote an annexation in a rural preservation.
Can we do a time check? Cause we have
Yeah, it's 1:22.
8 minutes left.
Okay,
Does everybody have a hard stop at 1:30?
I have a 2 o'clock meeting in the house, so I could be 10 minutes over at the most.
So
Yes,
I would hate to stop this discussion, but I think
Sure.
we probably need to spend 2 minutes on
Yeah.
process. and
no,
what we-
absolutely,
And then
because
jump in,
we need
because
to
I
do
think we
this.
need to leave today electing
A chair,
the
vice
chair,
chair.
and vice chair, and scribe, and then nail in the future meeting, so.
Yeah.
Sorry to cut it off.
No, you're good, you're good. It's easy, you will go, you could spend 2 hours on.
Oh,
and I
yeah.
would say that as part of the process, we probably should schedule a longer time than you
Yeah.
can see today, so.
I don't have a problem with you just scheduling a long time.
So once you all get a chance to really read the 2024, I think it'll give you a better idea of the goals of the IGA and the mission and purpose is all in the beginning, whereas statements. And then, and just for some background, I was involved with both the 2012 and 2024 IGA negotiations with 2 very different boards. So, hope I can maybe help with some, any understanding there. I think, Barney, were you in the 2012? No, you were there, no. So anyway, yeah, let's try to get, a chair, a vice chair, and a recorder set up, and then talk about meetings and process.
Yeah, how about 1 minute on process, because, and that's really for this group to determine what it is, but, yeah, you mentioned, hey, go see the properties, I think that's important. Maybe scheduling, it was brought up in the last Board of Trustees meeting by Boulder County, hey, can we get input from people outside the town line? So that's what this group needs, you know, maybe there's a whole meeting on getting public input, both town residents and, anyway, so
Yeah.
it's really, how do we structure this over the 6, 7, 8 weeks to get to the finish line?
Yeah.
So I don't have the answers, I think
Yeah.
that's a long discussion, but I think it could be, if we figure out who the chair and vice chair, if they could start talking and trying to figure out what the right approach is.
Come up with some process ideas and how to fit them in, because you probably need one more meeting to familiarize yourself with the map, with the symbols and colors and what do these things mean. And then go from there.
And
Break the
break,
section.
I think we need to break the process down into small bites. That's how you eat an omelet, right? You eat it one bite at a time.
Yeah.
I think, you know, if we break it down, we can figure out where we have to address things and where we don't, and then figure out how we're gonna do it.
Well, I just think that we should probably put that on the agenda for next
Yes.
meeting.
The first
Yeah,
item.
item number 1.
Talk
A plan,
about.
set a plan, yeah, because we're not gonna get that done today.
No.
Okay, how about in regard to how to select your leadership? Do you want to see who's willing to volunteer for them first, or do you want to nominate selves or others? How do you want to do that?
Let's
Anybody's-
volunteer.
yeah,
Who's willing to
volunteer.
volunteer for chair?
I certainly put my name in the hat. It's kind of what I've been doing, and I
It sounds
think
like your background.
I think I can bring the team together, but I'm happy to defer to somebody else's.
I'll
more
second
passionate.
that.
Okay, so if you put your behind in there, go ahead.
All in favor?
Yeah, I mean, from what I read in your emails and, background, it seems like that you're well suited for organization. And you're not working.
And I'm not-
Yeah, exactly. You've got time.
Let's, before you vote on it, is there anyone else that would like to have that role as well? Or is willing to take that role as well? Because if so, then you can fight it out for chair and vice chair.
You can have it.
Sounds like Doug has offered. Anyone want to make a motion in a second, make that happen?
Wendy already seconded it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, she did.
Wendy motioned, you got a second?
Sure, yeah.
All in favor? Against? All right.
Condolences.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm
Chair
taking it out with
Matthews.
me.
Chair Matthews, okay, vice chair, who's interested in that?
And
role?
this is the scribe also.
No.
Yeah, this is,
No.
This is,
this is the backup.
What is
chair.
the vice chair again?
The vice chair does the same role as the chair in their absence. So if he's not available, you're gonna run the meeting, keep everybody in order. If something happens to him and he can't, things change, you're the new chair.
And was there also something where the chair and the vice chair would like create an agenda together? There's like a
That's up to you.
collaborative
If you guys want to do that, you
aspect
sure
of
can.
it? Okay.
Well, I guess I can try to volunteer for that one.
For the vice chair, okay, anybody else interested or have time for vice chair? All right, motion, anybody?
second motion.
I'll first the motion.
So moved, second.
So
For a second.
you got a first and a second?
Yeah,
Yeah, 'cause
there's two on the
it's just-
table.
All right,
And all
everybody
in
in
favor?
favor of that, yeah.
Aye.
All right, and who has an interest in taking their notes and making sure those get posted? And meeting spaces,
I'm happy to do it if no one else wants to already do it. for Housing and Human
Yay.
Services, so it's just added to the list.
anybody else want that job? How about a motion?
I'll motion.
No, second, I second, third, fourth.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right,
So who does it if Julie's not available?
then at that meeting, we kind of just decide who's willing to.
You taking notes today?
Okay, so you guys should all take, those of you who just took a seat or a leadership role. In my board and commission training, there's some references. The Lions Municipal Code, which you'll find on the town website, has a whole section of your roles as well. So take a look at that, and then we can work with you, Julie, on your
It's
minutes.
probably the
It's
same
the
as
same
I
thing.
do
It
for
goes to
Housing and Human
records at town
Services.
of Lions.
I got this part.
Can I suggest that if somebody wants to get something put on the agenda,
Yeah.
they email the chair to get it on the agenda for that week? Because there will be stuff that comes up in our reading and thinking and that sort of thing. It will be like, I would really like to talk about that. So if we only have that week.
Especially
Right.
when we get ramped. And then what would I do with that? Would I then communicate that?
So there's a format for agendas. I'll
Okay.
get that to you. And then you can talk with staff or David Hamrick or whoever you want to kind of, talk about, is this, you guys decide on your agenda.
Right.
You'll fill it out and then it gets sent. Send it to, do you do the agenda for HH2?
I know, they send me the
Okay.
agenda and then I just use that.
So we will get you who to send that to. Will it be at records at town voice? Yep. Okay.
And then, so let's say we have an agenda, right? We're gonna
Yeah.
cover these three things and on midweek,
Someone wants
Wendy
more.
says, hey, can we call it, do this?
If it's more than 24 hours
Yes.
before the
Yeah,
meeting.
yeah,
you
yeah, I
can
mean,
do
it's,
it. If it's less than
Yeah.
24, you cannot add it.
right, so if there's time, so then I would add it to the agenda and then
And
communicate that
repost it.
back, and then or somebody would then
You would send
communicate
it
that to the
The
team,
Lord's.
so they all know what's on the agenda?
You will, there is, I should probably.
It'll-
Or I'll just
it'll be
coordinate
posted
and
on
we'll-
the-
There's
I'll
an
learn.
agenda
Okay.
site. You guys will now have your own site
Right.
that all your stuff will get posted on.
Okay.
I can share my.
Would the site be titled a certain way?
It says the IGA task force.
Okay.
I will get that up for you. Here it is, the agenda center.
Yeah.
I'm gonna share my screen quick while you guys are wrapping up. There's something called the Agenda Center. How can I do this for you? Shall I share your screen? No.
Agendas and minutes.
I'm not even- Yeah, it's called the Agenda Center, and there's gonna be a group called the IGA Task Force. And that's where your agendas and minutes will always be posted. And so if any of you, you're gonna know before you leave, hopefully. Like, maybe today, you will talk about with your couple minutes, what do you want on the next agenda? And maybe it's just discuss process. And if that can be all it is if you want, and then schedule a tour or whatever you want to do, but try to get your agenda done before you leave. It's helpful. And are all of you signed up for Notify Me on the Town of Lyons website?
Is that the website that sends the fact that there's a meeting going on?
Yes.
and
Yeah, that
everybody
would be
just
good.
needs-
Just,
yeah.
oh,
Sign up for Notify Me, and then it will ping you when the agenda gets posted.
okay.
And then Doug won't have to do that. It'll all automatically ping you and say, oh, IGA Task Force agenda has been put online.
And it'll also ping you if it gets changed, if midweek they've decided to add something to agenda, to show that it's been amended, and you'll know what the changes are.
You're talking about email.
Yeah.
When you say ping, it'll send you an
Yeah.
email.
Email or a text.
It'll be either.
Either one.
I've never been texted by them, but
Yeah.
Oh, there-
You have to opt
hopefully
in.
it's the right thing.
There's on our website is a little corner called Text My Gov, and you can sign up for text if you want those as well. And it's a new, well, not really new, but Charles, you can get notified about all sorts of things.
Okay.
Utility outages, recreation programs. You sign up for what you want to be doing.
Something in addition to Lions happenings.
Yeah. The official site, yeah.
The source of truth.
Bear spottings.
Okay, so Doug, how would you like to, you're officially elected. How would
Yeah,
you
well,
like
I
to
think
set
let's
your-
talk about agenda items. So it's kind of back to what you were saying, Wendy. I think the first thing we need to do is figure out what these buckets are. So I think the first agenda item is gonna be really define our process. How are we gonna break this down? So that was sort of item one, like process the following. The second, and it's kind of related, is what data do we think we need? Either maps, records. I know you mentioned there's lots of studies.
Input, public input.
Yeah, I'll come back to public input in a minute, but
Yeah.
like within the body of what exists today and who sort of related to that, who do we want to speak to? Like, I think it would be really helpful if we had more time to finish kind of what Andrew was starting of.
Right.
Here's what's in the IGA, you know, and there's probably other people, whether it's townspeople, whether it's utilities, whether it's PCDC, but we could make a list of data we want and who we want to talk to, and we'll figure out how to schedule those. And then I think the third big component that I think everybody here has sort of mentioned in one way or another through our slightly illegal communications, is that we need to figure out how to get that community input, or at least attempt to get it, with the understanding that, and I think Holly made this interesting observation or important observation for me, is that we want very much community input in this, because that's what's triggered this task force to be here, is there was a feeling there wasn't community input. However, we're making recommendations to the board. They're gonna do whatever they want with those recommendations, and then the whole process of community input is gonna happen. So we don't necessarily have to feel like we need exhaustive input and complete consensus by every person in town. But I think we need to, which would never happen anyway, that's why they're all giggling over there. But I think what we could do is talk about how do we want to get that community input, and how do we break this group down into teams maybe, and do, back to your point about, do you represent a neighborhood? Not really, but you're in that neighborhood. So maybe you could have a conversation with your neighbors. You could have one with your neighbors, and we can kind of break it down and then bring that back to a meeting. So I'd like a discussion topic to be, how and when do we structure community input? Is that kind of what you were thinking?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of past surveys also that we can go back and look at that the community's done throughout the
Might I
class.
suggest it
Yeah.
didn't work very well based on the meetings I attended?
Well,
So
I
we
mean,
might
it's
want to
been-
look at new ways to survey the community.
Sure, sure.
Because they
I mean,
were
it's all
pretty
about
angry.
Yeah, because
participation,
it would
right?
help,
But-
it would help me to get an idea what kind of questions I would even
Yeah.
ask my community. you know.
Well, they were very angry, so what was done before, a lot of people did not feel represented.
So far we have defined a process, break it down into bites. We have discussed what data we need and who we want to hear from. And that could include the walk around. We need to have a discussion about how to collect community input. And then I think a big one, which probably supersedes all of these, is once everybody has had a chance, if you have, most of us have probably reviewed these plans infinitum, but once you've had a chance to review the 2012, the 2024, and hopefully the comprehensive plan, I think we need to have a starting point of what in here do we need to address and what in here is irrelevant to address? Because there's some similarities between 2012 and the current that's boilerplate. So let's throw out the things we don't have to think about and narrow it down to what are the emotional items that people are upset about or worried about that we need to try to sort out. So it's really to define the issues within the draft IGA that need to be addressed. Does that feel right to everybody?
And that will certainly fill in every.
Yeah, those four
Yeah,
items, those four
I think so.
items will do it.
Yes.
But at least that'll give us a framework.
I was just gonna suggest too, I don't know that you have discussed, dates and times. Are
And
you
dates.
gonna meet every
We
Thursday?
do have our next.
Well, so we have
The
the
next,
next
the
two.
next three.
The next
Thursdays,
two
right?
are scheduled, yeah.
Yeah, it's next Thursday and then be the next
Thursday.
Tuesday.
Oh, it's next Tuesday after
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, and we
Okay.
just didn't
Thursday,
have the
Thursday.
participation that next Thursday. That's completely up to you all. I needed to get y'all landed here
Yeah, which is
today, and
perfect, yeah.
you can set it from here.
So if you guys,
Next Thursday, same time.
What's the date on next Thursday?
it's the 13th.
Okay, I think I'm-
13th and then the 18th.
So 13th at 12 to 1:30 and then.
And that's here, we have the space again, or do
I'll
we need to
book the room.
reserve?
That's why I'll reserve the room and make sure everything is set
Have
up.
the deck and all that
And we'll
stuff.
make sure we're seated different, so you're facing each other, and easier to
Yeah, this is-
communicate. Today was just, a full room.
So how about if we already have the next two, but why don't
So
we
you said
say,
the
let's
13th
take it
and
on at the next one on the 13th? And then bring calendars and figure out
Yeah.
when we want to meet. Obviously, if we're gonna have broader audience input on some of these meetings, we're gonna have to schedule some of them at a time, in the
A bigger
evenings.
room.
A bigger,
Well, it's not just the libraries.
yeah, the libraries,
But for your task force,
yeah.
you need it somewhere.
Trust me, we're not gonna have massive public input.
But for the
Just
most part, the task
You know,
force.
just-
You don't think so?
No.
I probably have gotten 30 emails in the last week.
I think it'll be.
About-
I think most people will be on Zoom.
Yeah,
But not.
Oh,
Yeah, but
yeah,
not
okay.
coming down here like,
I think people want to know
That's
that
nice.
there's something going on.
yeah.
So-
Oh, for sure.
I'd say at the next meeting, if you guys are comfortable, that's planned to lay out our schedule for the following 6 weeks or
So
so.
that'd be cool, yeah.
Is that work?
Because the only thing, oh my gosh, I had to get recast, last week, and so they had my leg. It's so funny to say.
Not many
They got
people
my
can say
leg
that.
down the VA, so I don't, they got my leg down there, so I gotta go down and get my leg. So, this is kind of funny when you tell somebody you got my leg down, there, so I gotta go down and pick my leg up. So I didn't know it was gonna be next Thursday or possibly the next, I don't know. So I hopefully there's not a conflict. I might have to be on Zoom, but I'm hoping that it's not a conflict. I might tell them to do it another day next week, because I really do want to attend these meetings. And I seriously apologize. I should have known that. So I don't know who called me, but was it her?
It was less.
Her
Is there
staff, yeah.
any chance I can get 3 things answered? I hope they're small. What is the percentage of affordable housing in Lyons? What is the goal for percentage of affordable housing in Lyons? And if there's a new Colorado law about how many people you can shove in a residence, don't we have to assume that anything we build might have a lot more people in it than we thought?
I think that's an opinion, but we can get you the
And
first two.
that was really a kind of question, because I don't understand the Colorado law that well.
Okay. We
about
could
how
probably
many
get you
people
a
you
copy
put
of it, so.
I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah, thanks, Julie. And then, because you guys are meeting over the noon hour, we did provide lunch today, but I think moving forward, because this is a town budget and stuff like that, you might have to brown bag or figure out another, we always will have water.
One quick question, sorry, like to be efficient with time and requesting information, like, do we need to wait for the next meeting to make requests of
You can email
information?
staff anytime.
So if you
Okay.
start compiling a list of things that we want, do we send that to Doug then, and then Doug will then
Is that okay?
communicate to you guys? So you can kind of then be a filter for.
As long as I don't respond.
But you can respond one-on-one.
Can-
If it's just logistics, you're fine.
Okay.
If you want minutes, if you want any background stuff, Matt,
Yeah.
reach out to me or Andrew and.
You just ask
So
him
we can
anytime.
directly ask, like Andrew for information, thank you.
Okay.
What he's saying is whatever you ask for, he's gonna turn around and send it to all of
Sure,
us.
but then it'll
I
be
get it.
safe,
Yeah, right.
right? It's safe communication.
I do want to make the note, and I think this is already, I think the mayor already stated this. This IGA isn't just focused on affordable housing. This is for future growth.
Right.
Where the affordable housing piece comes in is to meet our goals, but also Boulder County to meet their goals. And that's the give and take that you'll see is our properties coming out of rural preservation or that are being made annexable. Yeah, that's how you say that word.
Yeah.
The ability to annex Boulder County and we as well, we want to protect ourselves from developers that are just going to develop another neighborhood that no one can live in, you know? So, that's really the only nexus between this and affordable housing is just to meet our Boulder County's goals. But we need to look at it through a lens of, affordable housing is tertiary, but this is really about, is this piece of land a piece of land that the town might grow into within the next 20 years?
It's just that for myself, I hear that a lot, and I don't even know the baseline. What is
Sure.
our current percentage and what, I think that from the things I've read, the town and the county do have sort of goals. And I'd just like to know, what are those baselines?
Sure, and
To
like
understand
staff,
better.
we can send stuff to you in between meetings.
Okay.
We don't follow under the rule of more than two.
So we'll do that.
We can do that. The other thing, like when it comes to affordable housing is we have to remember, and you know, one of the things about affordable, or I agree with you, attainable housing is you usually don't want that out on the edges. You want housing near transportation systems and walkable to grocery stores and to the library, and to the senior center and that stuff. So, and this is one of the things about our goals as a community is, you know, we're talking redevelopment in town too. But for this IGA, it is talking about planned strategic growth of all sorts of things, not just housing.
So I do understand that.
Okay.
It's just that you hear a lot of talk about it. So I thought if I finally had a baseline of
Yeah.
what we have and what the
Yes,
ultimate, I went to Santa and got what I wanted, dreamed of how much we had.
Yeah.
It would help me to know
Sure.
what that is. Cause how
Okay.
do you know if you did it, if you don't even
Sure.
know what it is?
That's such a great question, to have that baseline.
Yeah.
Because I think right now is a good time to see that baseline, especially when we have lost those 7 business spots in that one corner. And then to have the empty spot where the Festivarian used to be.
yes.
And we're not sure what development is gonna happen there, along with what's happening with the new part of Broadway. And the north side of that part of Broadway might be developed there. And so it's a shade to her, when she asks that question, what's the baseline, including not only what's downtown, but
Yes.
even up, excuse me?
But this is all in-town stuff.
But-
In-town's not.
Well, but I'm saying like the whole picture.
Yeah.
Because
The
when,
whole
because
picture.
when we look at even the
Yeah.
east side of town,
It will all
there's
be
a-
Lions.
right.
when we also
Put it
look
in
at
the
the east side
town.
of town,
Yeah.
okay, your east side of
I know
town.
people don't think so, Kenny.
We need to know, like I said, what's the baseline? Because when you
Okay,
take,
for you.
when you say a 20-year growth, I mean,
Yeah.
it's great.
The other thing you're gonna see in that IGA is there's different density of housing discussed.
Mhm.
So I don't think there's anywhere that we have discussed over the last couple of years that was like, this is gonna be all, you know, 40% AMI. It's always a mixture.
Mhm.
Because our goal is not to have one neighborhood that is known as just that's the projects. We want to integrate people of all types into housing. That's a mixture of housing. And so there's a lot, housing's a whole
I
another
totally
ballgame.
get that. I just want a
Yeah, we
baseline
can-
of where we are and where there is a hope to go.
Yes.
Just so I can,
Our
I'm
goal,
I'm a
high
line person,
Here's
line them
very
all up
high
and
level.
compare.
we have an agreement with the state right now that we're gonna shoot for 10 units of housing in the next 3 years. That's it.
Just
Yeah, I mean, I
10
really.
units or 10?
10
10
units.
units.
Of affordable.
That's it, that's it, 10.
Not affordable or attainable.
And none of that housing guarantees that people in those houses will work in our restaurants.
No,
Sure.
none of it
It's two
does.
different.
I don't
two
think
different
that's how
things.
it's turned out so far, but.
Well, see, this is the big argument. I'm glad I got chosen, but see, the argument, when I look at, when you say 10 units, are you saying 10 individual housing units or 10 actual complexes?
No,
Yeah,
10
so
units.
individual.
Just places to
That's
walk
it.
through the door.
Just 10 in the next 3 years?
That's it.
It sounds easy, but it took us, how many years to get the ones that we got this
10
last?
years.
Okay,
9
okay,
years.
okay. So when you say affordable, Victoria, okay,
There's goals set with what that means.
Yeah.
okay, but you see, but when, okay,
Because there's a whole range of affordable. There's affordable, it can be from 40% average median income up to 120%. And so what you'll see when you read this is that there's different levels of affordable. Like affordable at Wold South is a lower average median income than affordable at Lions Valley Townhouse.
okay.
They're different. And then the new attainable housing at Evans goes way up to 120% of average median income. But we have such a high average median income in Boulder County, one of the highest in the nation.
Right. It's almost, well, forget it,
That-
almost like one in the world, I won't say nation, could be world, but I'm just saying, it's so standardly high. I look at the big picture and it drives me crazy
Yes.
sitting there, okay?
Yeah.
And then when I look at what's going around me and I go, I'm so happy to be on this because I'm not saying it just for me, I'm looking at the whole big picture for everyone. And you're talking about 10 new units in 3 years, I say, okay, grand, that's great. Okay, what part of town?
Well,
What part of?
That's what we'll figure out.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
another whole group.
Right,
Yeah.
that's, and I know,
That's
that's
not
the big.
this group, that would be an affordable housing group. This
Yes.
is what land is appropriate to consider for future extension of urban services in the next 20 years.
Right, okay, I understand that.
So maybe to kind of wrap this up, I'd say as you go through the next week, write down any question about data you might want, information, answers, and we'll consolidate those.
Yeah.
There'll be a lot of overlap, but I think like the questions you're asking, I have a whole
It's
list of
just that's always, since I got dragged into this,
So
and I am
that's-
not happy to be here. I got dragged
Who
into
dragged
this,
you
right?
in?
This situation.
Oh.
Okay, so like I put those maps all over top of each other and they don't match. The plan for where the town wants to go does not match the
IGA.
it doesn't.
the comprehensive.
And that's how it's like, okay, no one can answer this, so here I am.
So
Well, I
I
don't
wanna
think
know
you and
what's
I ever
actually happening.
talked.
Well, we talked at the meeting. You probably don't remember me. The second time they had the big upset meeting, I finally got to ask the question.
I wasn't. at
Oh,
that.
maybe you weren't there.
No,
Okay,
I
I
don't
finally
think you
got
and
to
I
ask the
ever talked.
question. And the only person who would actually answer me was the lovely man from Boulder County.
Oh, Dale Case.
Yeah, so I just wanna know, I wanna be able to look at the documents the town produces
I just,
and really know
just
what's real.
please know that whenever as a resident, you just have questions like that, come make an appointment and come see us.
Well, it was a great introduction to what's going on.
And
that's why
because we don't want anyone to feel dragged into this, we want you
Well,
to.
it's just, I naively thought things run smoothly.
Oh.
And, it was a real introduction to that's not the case.
And I wanna talk about, I got
Sausage for a reason.
Yeah, go. We're done.
One note, if you are pulling together a list of questions, if you could just provide that a few days prior to the meeting, so staff has time to address
Get
it.
the materials you need, as you get them. right?
Yeah.
I just want to say that moving forward, we have to be respectful of people and not talk over them. When Victoria's trying to finish a point, you let her finish a point. And also, I know that I saw Barney speak specifically at the PCDC hearing about affordable housing in Lyons. So we could respectfully ask Barney to maybe speak about that next meeting.
These are the people we know.
That's all I got.
So-
And if you thought I was speaking over, I'm sorry.
Well, I'm just talking in general.
Okay, you're not talking about me then.
Chair?
Well, I was.
Oh, okay, well, thank you.
Meeting adjourned?
Yes, meeting
Okay.
adjourned.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
I'll send you
Hey,
the
if I'm
forms
bad one,
when
I'll
Okay.
take responsibility.
Thanks, Victoria, I appreciate it. I'm just saying.
Yeah, well, that's just me.
Nice to meet
Thanks,
you
you.
again.
Yep.
Any,
Hey, 55.
Yeah,
You
thanks.
guys have some fabulous maps in like that almost 200-page document. There's like the housing document and the planning document.
yes, the housing is
I mean, I printed them out, but they're pretty tiny. You guys have versions of them that.
I'm
we
around.
have to
Yeah,
go
sure.
get them made.
Be there every week.
All right, well, I mean, I have my own.
Are you still there?
It does, it like shows wetlands and topography and fire hazard. I mean, it's awesome. It's just they're kind of tiny, and so what I'm trying to find, here's, like, I always have to find my own neighborhood on each one, so I can like look over top and understand how these two things fit together. Just like a cheat color printer. So if you have them around that are easier to look at, that'd be awesome, but. Yeah.
You have to tell us which ones.
Okay, because they had this big argument about if it was or wasn't a fire hazard in the north part of town. It went on and on. And it's like, well, you guys have the map that show pretty much Lyons is a severe fire hazard. I mean, you know, it's like, wow, why was there such a disagreement about whether it's a severe fire hazard? It's already been determined. So I thought maybe those lovely maps would be really helpful.